Obviously, every employee who walked out may have done so for a different reason, but it seems that the prevailing complaint was the cuts in successive years to PEIA health insurance coverage benefits and increasing costs for those same benefits, which kind of came to a head this year with plans for the upcoming fiscal year, in which things like total family income would have been used to calculate premiums. There was this much maligned Go365 wellness program that would have been added on to what employees under the insurance coverage would have had to deal with. And so this was just the latest in several years of cuts to health insurance benefits and coverage. This year it was coupled with a proposal of only a 1% pay increase for next fiscal year.
We have to be proactive as educators, I think, so that we have the bill in our hand. We are discussing it as educators, how it's going to affect us. We have to go and we have to be proactive in things.
There have been several years of different pieces of legislation that unions particularly have opposed, such as ones that would make it more complicated to divert money from your school-issued paychecks to pay union dues, one that would downplay the role of years of seniority in decisions on whether to lay off employees. All of these different things seem to build up, and when I talked to teachers and school service personnel who were striking, a lot of them said that the health insurance coverage was their #1 concern, but often there was one of these bills that was cited as a secondary concern.
Rising healthcare costs are making their lives unbearable.
This teacher pay ranks 48th in the country. Last week, the governor signed off on a 4%
followed by a 1% increase.
But these teachers say that's not enough. But others not happy that the state didn't tackle the longer-term issue of
closed public schools in West Virginia will come to an end.
Is now over.
Teachers will go back to work on
Teachers
Thursday.
were warned the strike is illegal, Jeff. They face anything.
You know, and if that's illegal,
It does not have enough room in the budget.
State can't afford anything more.
Governor Jim Justice
straight day.
has
On Monday, thousands
teachers
passed the
celebrated
West Virginia
the
State Capitol grounds.
The strikes seem to have come from the membership, and the state level union leaders, at least at the very beginning, tried to say, let's slow down. This is not the first action we should be taking. But the anger just kept building against what was happening in the legislature. The employees were either not afraid of the legal ramifications of this, or they felt that the legal ramifications, they were never coming. And even despite their state level union leaders asking them to go back, I think it became clear that this was something that they had momentum behind.
I want you to be proud. I want you to strike fear in every legislator that has turned their back on you for not just today, but tomorrow. Ever since they were first elected, that's all they care about is staying in here.
The strike was the first teacher strike since 1990. It was the first statewide strike. It was the first strike to include not just teachers, but also public school service personnel, such as bus drivers and cooks and custodians and secretaries. So it was an unprecedented show of unity among these public sector employees, and it won not just raises for teachers and school service personnel, but again, it earned raises of 5% for state employees as well. So I think it remains to be seen how much of an impact this will have on the upcoming elections. Through their action of just shutting down schools for 9 school days, they were able to procure a raise that was twice as large as the one that was denied them in the previous fiscal year. They were able to freeze benefits for all the way through mid-2019, which has been cited as a $29 million cost. They were able to Possibly, we don't know if these bills would have passed in the absence of the strike, but certainly they put pressure to end discussion of bills like downplaying the role of seniority and layoffs and transfers and bringing private school vouchers to West Virginia. Discussion of these other things seemed to have been shut down as the strike sucked up all the air in the room. So it remains to be seen whether the organization and the employee unity seen here and the willingness to strike will spread to private sector and will actually influence the election coming up. But certainly it won major concessions from the legislature. Whether the legislature cut certain programs in order to pay for the teacher pay raises and the benefit freeze, you could blame the school employees for pushing for that, or you could say to the legislature, I mean, you guys declined to increase taxes at all during this legislative session. We could have had all of the proposals in the governor's original budget. We could have avoided any Medicaid cuts that may have occurred or anything like that. We could have had free community and technical college for students had the legislature been willing to also raise taxes in addition to granting these pay raises and benefit freeze. So now it's up to the PEIA task force to determine what can be done as far as fixing PEIA for the long term, and depending on whether that falls apart or not and whether employees are happy with that, the possibility that we could see another strike if that doesn't get fixed.